What's up, YouTube friends? Now you may be wondering why I'm in the closet. I've been so busy getting my bow ready for turkey season and trying to clean out my sewing room that I completely forgot today's St. Patrick's Day, and I'm not wearing any green. So I'm hiding out here in the closet to avoid all those pinches. Now if I can make it down to my sewing room, I'll show you how quick and easy it is to make a felt shamrock pin to keep all those pinchers at bay. So the things you're going to need to make this easy shamrock pin are 2 shades of green felt, some green thread and a needle. Now today I'll be using the embroidery floss here, and I'll also be using these ribbon needles. They just have a larger head and it makes it easier to get the embroidery floss through them, but if you just had a regular needle and thread, that would work great too. Today I'll also be using some pin backs. But if you'd like to make this a hair bow or something like that, you could go ahead and glue it to like a barrette or something, and that'll work just fine too. And also, if you're going to make these for little kids, you can just go get some tiny little magnets. That way they won't poke themselves with the pin. And finally, you're going to need some buttons or beads or gems, anything you want to go in the center of your shamrock. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut out my smaller shamrock. This time I'm going to use the darker green. So I'm going to cut out 4 1.5-inch squares. And from my scrap here, I'm going to cut out an 1-inch square also. And then just set these off to the side. Now for my second piece of felt here, I'm going to cut out 4 2-inch squares. Then I'm just going to take one of my squares and I'm going to fold it in half. And with my sharp scissors, I'm just going to round off the top here. Now if you want, you could go ahead and trace around something circular, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Just like that. And you want to do that to all 8 of your pieces. Now once you open it up, if it's a shape that you don't like this has a little point here, just go ahead and take your scissors and round it out. They don't have to all be matching. So now that I have my bigger petals here all finished, I'm going to do the same thing with my smaller ones. And our little 1-by-1 piece here, you just want to set that off to the side for a moment. So I'm just going to fold it in half and round off the corners. Now I'm just going to take one of my smaller pieces and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here on the back, not very much. And I'm going to stick it on top of the bigger petal. Now you don't necessarily have to use the glue, the felt will stick to itself, but I just think it helps just a little bit. So now we have 4 leaves of our shamrock. It's time to sew this together. So I'm just going to grab my needle and thread and I'm going to tie a knot at one end. Now way back in middle school, when I was in home ec, I'm not sure if they even teach that anymore to kids, I was taught to make a knot in thread by making an X over your pointer finger, just like that with your thread, and roll. Then when you grab your 2 pieces of end tail and pull, you have a knot. So now I'm just going to take one of my shamrock petals here, and I'm going to stick my needle down right in the beginning of the darker fabric. Then I'm going to come up about halfway and make a 1/4-inch stitch and go back down. And then come up right at the end of the darker green and pull it through. So I'm going to do the same thing with my other 3 petals. So I'm going to start right on the edge of the darker color. come up about halfway, take a 1/4 inch stitch, and then back up right at the end of the darker green and thread it on. I'm going to do that to all of my pieces. So now I'm just going to slide them down to where the knot is and scrunch them together. Alright, so now I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to stick my needle right through where our knot is on that very first stitch and come all the way through. And then you just want to shape your shamrock. So now I'm going to go back to the back side and I'm going to make a little knot. So I just went through the first 2 petals. I'm going to stick my needle through that little loop and pull. Now I'm just going to clip my thread, leaving a little tail. So I still have my shamrock turned over to the back. I'm going to take my 1 inch by 1 inch square and add some hot glue. If you're doing this with kids, you could just use regular glue. Now I'm going to stick this on the back, making sure my little thread tail will get caught in the glue. Next I'm going to take my little pin back. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to my felt piece and stick on my pin. So now I'm just going to turn this over to the front side. And now you can just add anything you want to cover up that little hole. Now I have a whole jar full of buttons. And really any button that you choose would look great. I have some of these brown buttons that came off a suit jacket. I think that would look great if you're giving this to a guy. You could just add a plain white button. That looks okay too. Here's adding just a green button. I think that looks okay. And here's just a plain black button. And I think that looks okay. But I want this to sparkle a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glitter it gold. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of Mod Podge on a little piece of sponge. And I'm going to Mod Podge my button. Next I'm going to take some gold glitter and just dump it on. And let it dry. Now once this coat dries, I'm going to go ahead and add another layer of Mod Podge and another layer of glitter and let that dry completely. Now here's a button that has 2 coats of glitter and Mod Podge. So I'm going to add some hot glue to the center of my shamrock. I carefully pick up my button and place it in the center. Now don't you think that looks way better with the gold glitter? I do. Alright guys, so here's our finished shamrock pins here for St. Patrick's Day. And you can see just by swapping out your colors, you can get a totally different look. I think they both look great though. I hope you like this fast and quick video on how to make these shamrock pins, and hopefully they'll keep you from getting pinched. If you like this video and want to see more of my videos, go down below and hit the big red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified as to when I post one of my videos, hit the bell button. Feel free to share this video across your social medias. If you'd like to share ideas for crafts, sewing projects, or just what you're making, head on over to Scrappy's Patch on Facebook and hit the friend button. And as always, thanks for watching. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I'll see you next time.